so I made these games. So just download an asset from the asset store, create a new 3D project, name it Run and Jump, open Unity Editor, and import the asset from the package manager. And now we have our background scene. I didn't like the background scene, so I changed it a couple of times until I found this. Now that our background scene is looking good, it's now time to add our player. But I didn't want to use the farmer again because it's already been abused in our last game. So I browsed all the characters and decided to use a character wearing a black business suit.
Okay.
The businessman is facing in front of us, but we want it to be a side-scrolling game, so we have to rotate him to face to the right. Now that's done, let's rename our businessman character to player. Then we add a collider and rigid body to our player, and adjust the collider to fit the player. Now that we have a collider that fits our player perfectly, time to add a script to our player and add the player's jump. And we do it with code. To test our code, let's play the game, and our player is jumping. But our code has one problem. Our player can jump infinitely and fly to the air. We don't want that to happen, so we fix it with even more code. And we fix it. Now our player won't fly up to the air.
Nice.
Now it's time to add our obstacles for the game that we need to avoid by jumping. Also add a box collider to the obstacles. Now it's time to add the code on our obstacles and background so that it moves to the left. And I'll explain later why. But first, it's time to code. So first I added the code to the obstacles and then the background, and now look, by moving the obstacle and the background to the left, it looks like the player is moving, but it's actually not! Now to make our obstacles spawn in every number of seconds, first, we have to add it as a prefab, then create a spawn manager empty object, then add some codes in our spawn manager script, and then we smash our keyboard. Now let's test our code. There seems to be some
What? What the fuck?
So we fix the problem with some code, some keyboard smashing, and by slamming our face into the keyboard. Now that we have finished fixing our code, let's test our game. Alright, so now we play, we jump. Let's wait for the obstacle if it will appear. And jump again, and there we go. We already have obstacles spawning at different intervals. I'll also fix the background so it repeats seamlessly now. Time to add code for collision detection to our player, so when it hits an object, the game will be over and our player will stop moving. Now it's time to test our code. So the player will run, it hits an obstacle, and it stops. I also made a feature where unneeded obstacles get deleted after hitting a boundary. This allows the game to save memory and render less objects. Now it's time to add that sweet animation you saw in the beginning of the video. On the inspector window, click the animator button, then you'll see your animator window. Since we are using assets from the Unity Asset Store, we already have pre-built animations. All I have to do is tinker a little bit with some of the animator values. So if we set our speed to 0.3, the character is now walking. If we set our speed to 0.6, then the character animation is now running. After adding the running animation, time to add the jump animation. So I fiddle around the animator, tweaked some values, and added a little code. Now let's test if the character is jumping with the animation. And as you can see, the character now has a jumping animation. Awesome! Now we have animations for running, animation for jumping, but there's still one animation that's missing. A death animation. To make our death animation, I tinkered a lot with the animator settings and added a bunch of complicated but delicious spaghetti codes. I also inserted some keyboard smashing codes to fix it all up. Now our death animation is working perfectly. If you take a look back in our game video, there are particles when the character runs and also when the character hits an obstacle. And that's what we're gonna do. First, I added the death smoke particles from the assets we downloaded, tested if the particles are working, then added some more codes, and face mash on my keyboard to get it working on collision. So if you look here, smoke particles will appear if it hits the obstacle. It didn't work. So I found out that I haven't assigned the smoke particles yet to my player. So once I did that, you can see now that the smoke particles on death is now working. Now it's time to add a dirt splatter effect whenever our player is running. So in order to do that, we added some spaghetti codes and dirt particles to our player. And as you can see, there are now dirt splatter effect whenever our player is running.
Nice.
So in order for our game to have background music and running and dying sound effects, we're gonna do this for one last time.
Say the line, Bart!
Let's add some codes! So now we have a fully functional run and jump side-scrolling game complete with particle and sound effects. The game is controlled by pressing spacebar. If you want to play the game, you can do so with your browsers, and I'll be putting the links down below. So if you like the video, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Also hit that notification bell and follow me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Sazner.
But wait! There's more!
I also made the game on your screen right now, by the way. The link is also on the description below. How I did this game? Of course, with codes.